I'm going to show you guys how I got these from this. Hey guys, welcome back or welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a Procreate tutorial and I'm going to be going over so many things. I have a list here. How you can use Procreate to sketch out like your mood board sets and plan your nail designs. We're going to be going through all the basic functions, brushes, layers, how to draw out your fingers, how to draw out your nail shapes, and tools that you can use within the app to help you do those things. I'm going to show you guys when you're sketching the designs how you can make it so that your nail designs stay within the nail outline. That's a very important one. Kind of what I use for inspo and ideas. Also, I just wanted to add that all of these methods that I show in this video are just things that I've learned through trial and experience. So you don't have to do everything exactly the way that I do it. I'm just trying to give you guys kind of the basis. If you have used Procreate before and you are familiar with a lot of things, I'll definitely add some timestamps so that you guys can skip ahead to whichever section that you want to watch. So let's get into it. Okay, so we're just starting here on the homepage of Procreate. This is one of my recent mood board sets that I did, and I'm obsessed. That's just kind of an example of what you can do when you're planning your mood board designs on Procreate. Just hit that plus icon to start a blank page like I did here. Here in the top right corner, we have the color wheel, so you can change the display of it. I personally like to leave it here on the disc. Beside that, the two little boxes icon, that's your layers, so we're going to be using this to manage different layers later on. And then we have our eraser, smudge tool, and paintbrush tool, which should all be pretty straightforward. Okay, now we're going to hit that paintbrush icon, and this is how you can edit your brush. You can actually stabilize it so that your lines aren't as shaky when you're drawing. So we're going to be using that a little bit later on. I'm turning on the stabilization and motion filtering. And these are just a couple of my favorite brushes, the Monoline, Soft Brush, Studio Pen, and I love using the Glimmer for glitters. And then in the top left corner, the little toolbar, you can hit add to insert your photos or add text. And then we're going to move over to the canvas section of the toolbar. This is where you can edit your canvas, you can crop and resize, and you can turn on drawing guides. So we are going to be using the drawing guide today to help us. We're going to use it in symmetry, and you can adjust horizontal, vertical with the options. And that top rainbow thing is how you can adjust the color of your drawing guide so you can see it better. We are going to be using the squiggly line, I don't know what it's called, to color fill later on. And beside that, you also just have your select tool, so if I draw something and I use that select tool, I can move it around. And back to the toolbar under the share section, that's just how you're going to save your design to your camera roll. And now that you know all the basic functions, let's get into actually drawing. So to draw out my nail outlines, I'm going to be using the Monoline pen, and I'm turning my stabilization and motion filtering all the way up. And since we have our assisted symmetry drawing already on, you only have to draw half the nail, and the other half will be drawn for you, perfect exactly the way that the other side was drawn. I'm just going back in and correcting and perfecting the entire nail shape. And once you have that, just draw out your finger shape, and don't be fooled, this took me like 100 tries, but I cut it out so you guys didn't have to watch through all that. Going into our layers tab, we're going to duplicate that layer, and once duplicated, hit the select tool and move that over out of the way. So pretty much what we're doing right now is just creating all of our nail shapes so that later on we can go back and like copy and paste whichever nail shape that we want to use for our specific design, just so that you have the outlines of everything already done. And once you do this, you never have to do it again. So I just went in and erased the tip of the almond nail, and I'm drawing a square nail now. And once that's completed, same thing, go into your layers tab, duplicate it, select it, and move it out of the way. Okay, so now that that's all done, we're going back to our layers and we're going to copy the shape that we want to use for our design. You do this just by pressing and holding the layer, and it should pop up to allow you to copy it. And then we're going to start a new canvas. I usually just hit screen size. I ended up cropping it anyways, but you can just start your new canvas in the size that you want, if you want it sized for Instagram or whatever. But we're going to hit the little toolbar and we're going to hit add and we're going to click paste. So now we have our nail outline from before, and I'm just going to go ahead and resize it and move it around the page. You can hit the layers tab again, and we're just going to duplicate this outline. I personally like to duplicate it 5 times. You can do 10 or whatever you please. And I'm just going in each layer, selecting it and moving it to where I want it on the page. And now I'm going back into the layers tab, and I'm just going to turn off the background color for the next step by hitting the check mark next to the background color layer that I want to hide. And now we're just going to go in and merge down all these layers until we have one. Okay, we're really getting into the important stuff, so pay attention. We're going to duplicate this layer and then go back and select your bottom layer, so the first layer of the outlines, and we're going to use that squiggly tool. And using the automatic selection, you're going to fill in the nail portions of each nail with the color white. I'm turning my background color back on, and I'm adding another layer in between these 2 layers. And then you're going to go in and you're going to hit clipping mask. So you'll see there's a little arrow pointing down to the first layer, and this clipping mask allows you to color in the nails without it falling outside of the lines. So whenever you make a new layer that is going to go on the nails, you want to make sure it's a clipping mask clipping to the outline layer that has the white filled in nails. And if you want to add some color to the fingers, just duplicate that first layer, and on the bottom layer that the mask isn't clipped to, you can fill in the fingers and add whatever details you'd like. So I've just moved over to Pinterest to find some inspo for the set that I want to do. I'm looking for things like color combinations, textures that I may want to incorporate, and everything that I like I'm saving to my camera roll. I'm also just going into my nail inspo board and finding any inspiration from there that I want to use. And going into my camera roll, I'm just using the function that Apple added so you can make stickers out of your pictures, and just using the eraser to clean that up. Whenever you add a picture in, it'll create a new layer. So if I want to manually crop this photo, I'm hitting the mask button. And with the squiggly tool, I'm just hitting rectangle and tracing exactly where I want to crop the photo. And then I'm hitting invert. I feel like there's an easier way to do this, but I'm just moving it around now. This is just how I've been doing things. You can also use the ellipse to make it a circle, and I'm just doing that over and over until all or most of my reference photos are on the canvas. And now we can get into the fun part, designing the nails. So just like when you do a set of nails and you cure in layers, you also want to work in layers on your design. That way it's just easier to erase any small mistakes you make along the way. I definitely recommend keeping your background color layers separate from your detail and design layers, just so you're not erasing the whole background when you're working on a design. So right now I'm just making a chrome nail, so I just went in with a bunch of different shades of gray and kind of blended them together with a soft brush until I got the chromey look that I desired. And with any 3D designs, I always try to kind of make them look 3D by shading them. Another cool function you can use, that little square in the bar with the brush sizing and opacity, is the color picker function. So you can actually use that to pick colors directly from your inspo pictures to use on your designs. I forgot to add a bunch of my inspo pictures, so I'm just going back in and adding those all now. There's so many different brushes and tools on Procreate. Definitely spend some time testing different ones out and figuring out what you like. I'm using the smudge brush tool here. Okay, and for these 3D swoopy lines that I'm going to replicate, I'm using the Studio pen. I'm obsessed with this brush. It picks up the amount of pressure that you're using, so it works really well for these type of 3D lines. The next little bit of this video is just going to be me drawing out the rest of the design, so if you want to skip ahead, I'll have all the timestamps listed in the description. Okay, and now that I'm all finished with the designs, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna kind of shade everything so that it looks glossy like it would in real life. I'm just using the soft brush and I'm using white and I'm just playing around with the opacity levels just to add those kind of shiny 3D details to everything. Okay, so now we're almost done with the final look. So I'm just going in and I'm pretty much just describing each nail to myself so that when I actually do make this set, I kind of understand what's going on. I also decided I wanted to change the color of this flower, so I'm just doing that now. And now for some final details, I'm just going to Google and I'm searching up pearl vector. You can do gem vector or whatever you want and you can find these images. And again, I'm just saving that to my camera roll and I'm using the press and hold sticker function just to import it onto Procreate. It's so cool how you can just drag and drop now. Like, shout out to whoever invented this function at Apple. And now that we're all done here, this is the final look, the final design. We're just going to save this to the camera roll. And this is how it turned out. I hope this video was super useful for you guys. I know Procreate has been my best friend lately. If you guys liked this tutorial, please make sure to like below and leave a comment if there's anything else you guys want to know from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video.